Good morning, everyone. I have PowerPoint slides, but I think in the interest of time, and I know that there are those of you who will probably like to ask questions, I'll just speak and talk for a few moments. I'm Effenus Henderson. I am the CEO of HenderWorks, a consulting firm. But more importantly, my life spans a 40-year career with the Weyerhaeuser Company as the Chief Diversity Officer. And I also serve on the board of the E3 organization here in Washington State, the Environmental Education Association, which focuses on three main objective areas: the economy, the environment, and education. One of the things as I reflected on the comments that have been made so far this morning was on the need for really engaging communities, engaging individuals, engaging societies in this work that we're in. And when I looked at the theme of this conference, just sustainability, I said, what does that just mean? I guess it means justice, right? Short for justice. And sustainability, really enduring through time. You know, in many societies, in many civilizations, in many cultures, you know, we do the work that we do not for ourselves, not for our children, but for our grandchildren and for generations to come. And so, you know, it's about sustainability and building a legacy, building a future that our kids, our grandkids, and their friends can appreciate and enjoy. And then I looked at the second, in the commons, or the commons. So, you know, the commons to me is that gathering place, that place where we all come together. The things that we share that are important to all of us, whether it's air, whether it's the city, whether it's the community, whether it's the forest. And so for me, the question as a diversity and inclusion thought leader is, how do we think about sustainable communities? How do we think about the commons in an increasingly diverse society, both here in the US and around the world? How do we think about that? And who's not at the table in terms of the things that we need to be about, in terms of making sure that we have a sustainable community, a sustainable country, and a sustainable world? I believe that one of the most significant and important things that we as individuals have to do is really reflect on our individual behaviors around this work that we do. I mean, there are several levels, and we talk about that in the E3 organization around how we bring about change, systemic change, and part of it is looking at our own behaviors, our own worldview about things. And really, what's our worldview? What's our values and beliefs about sustainability? What's our values and beliefs and traditions about climate change? And are those beliefs and thoughts different from someone else's? And how do we come together as a collective? We heard that earlier, a collective in terms of impacting change in a way that's sustainable, that covers an inclusive society. It's not just about whether someone from one part of the world, or from one region, or from one city is making a difference. It's how do we all think about this work in a way that's important. So the behavior that we all bring to this work is going to be important. Are our behaviors inclusive? Do we think that this is just our work? Because I would suggest to you and offer to you that in order to build a sustainable model in the commons, that we really have to go down into the grassroots and really engage and work and have a dialogue with a number of people who may not have a clue about the concepts, about the principles, about the impact of climate change, about the issues associated with clean water. All they are trying to do is survive on a day-to-day basis. And so the challenge for us as individuals is to think about ways to really embrace, to engage, to bring to the table those individuals that really need to understand the really impact, the growing impact of the things that we know to be true. But it's not just enough to think about behaviors of individuals. One of the things in the work that I do, a lot of times the most well-intended individuals can be constrained, can be impacted because of institutional systems, policies, practices, regulations. And so as a collective, part of our challenge is really looking at the kinds of issues, looking at the kinds of regulations that really are impacting what we're trying to do, impacting clean water, impacting clean air, impacting carbon emissions, and so forth. I sit as a member of the National Environmental Justice Advisory Council for EPA, representing private industry. And I participated in a number of meetings of that organization where people have actually come to present, concerns, issues, and to raise objections to a variety of things related to their daily life, most of which are related to things like fracking or climate change and so forth. What I see in the faces of those individuals is hurt. What I see in the faces of those individuals is a sickness. What I see in the faces of those individuals is a questioning of, do they really care about me and my family in this small rural town in a certain part of the country? They don't understand the concepts and the broad research-based analyses that, go behind a lot of what we do. All that they know that something is happening to them as individuals. Something needs to change. And they really are asking questions about why. That's one of the things that gives me hope, is that we see a society that's becoming much more informed about the issues and are willing to raise questions in the only way that they know how. And so as we come together as just sustainability advocates, and as we look at it in terms of the commons, the areas in which we all live, work, grow, and fellowship together, let's remember that we don't all come from the same perspective. Let's remember that we have different values and beliefs, but the real challenge is if we can somehow collaborate and build on our collective impact in terms of these issues, we can really create and build a really sustainable world. And so my hope that as we look forward into the future, to your children, your grandchildren, their children, they will look back at this group of people in this room who represent a broad microcosm of the world and say, they got it, they took action, they helped to create the world in a way that is sustainable, not just for their own little communities, but for the world as a whole. And I think if we do this, we'll certainly create and help to create the change necessary, because it is a change effort. It will take a lot of time. It won't be solved in our generation or even the next generation. It's a continuing process of analysis, research, commitment, and dedication to creating a world for us and for generations to come. So thank you, and I look forward to the questions.